Welcome to another inspiring episode of HERcast with DrChito, where we highlight the powerful journeys of women making a real difference in their communities. Today's episode is going to be my favorite one, I'm sure of that. It's titled From Word to Action, the stories that inspire service. And we are thrilled to have with us four remarkable women who have transformed their passion for service into impactful work. Joining us today is Chika Offor, the founder CEO of Vaccine Network for Disease Control, an organization dedicated to improving public health through advocacy and access to vaccines. We also call her Vaccine Mama. We also have Rosemary Etsame, the Director of Programs and Operations, Connak Foundation, and Uche Umenyi, the Director of Partnership and Advocacy at Connak Foundation, which is a platform uplifting organization, uplifting communities through education, health, and economic empowerment. And lastly, but not the least at all, is Nnenna Ogbonna, founder of Tech for All Global, using technology to bridge gaps and create opportunities for underserved population. Now, together, these women are turning words into action every single day. And we're here to dive into their stories, stories that inspire, uplift, and challenge all of us to do more for our community. So let's get right into it. Welcome, ladies. It's amazing to have you guys all here. As I just said, this is going to be an amazing episode because for me personally, I think what people don't understand is what it takes to serve and how important it is right now in our recent climate, just in Nigeria, where there's so many issues that people should just come out and do their best for their neighbor. So we're going to really talk about this and talk about how we have impacted, how we have impacted communities and how doing the work has changed our lives. So I think this is something that we're going to really delve in. So my first question to you, Chika, our vaccine mama. I like that. I just love her name. I love her. The nickname the community has given her is amazing. What inspired you to start Vaccine Network, start your foundation, and what is its core mission?
My mom had cervical cancer and she died from it. So, and it was something that was preventable at the time, but we didn't know. And that lack of knowledge made us lose her. So I said to myself, imagine dying from a preventable disease. It will no longer happen under my watch. 13 years ago, I left private sector and decided to make the move and say, you know what? It's time to put my words into action.
True.
And I did just that. I started by creating awareness about cervical cancer, pneumococcal diseases, different kinds of things. And I was so passionate because one person dying from any disease is one person too much, too many. And that was my drive, and that was what pushed me, and that was what gave birth to Vaccine Network for Disease Control. Today, we started on the dining table of my parlor. That was 13 years ago. Dr. Chito, you remember? And guess what? Today, we're in 7 states. We're even global. We're in Guinea, we're in South Sudan, and we're doing what we love, saving lives one day at a time.
Yeah, I love how you emphasize how you started because a lot of people think that you need much to start. All you need is the heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. I just want everybody to just give me an idea. So Rosemary, why I love Rosemary being here and Uche being here is there's some people, anybody can find, we can find or found or what do you call initiate a platform or an organization. But I find it so intriguing, and even in my foundation, our foundation, Family Foundation, I find it so important for the people that serve the vision. And not necessarily not the founder, but their passion and their dedication. So I'm going to start from you, Rosemary, if I go to Uche about, tell me how you started working. I mean, tell me your journey about Connak Foundation and what Connak Foundation offers.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chito. And Vaccine Mama's story is quite inspiring. I also came to that. Prior to Connak Foundation, I had my community development service during NYC days, and it had to do with the medical outreaches. I served in Kaduna. And for those who have been to the northern states, you can imagine when you do outreaches to people and you see how the little you do impact them so much. and they're so appreciative of it, right? It moves something within you to want to serve more. And at that point, I know that when you're serving in service to humanity, either you're giving your time, your talent, or your resources. The philanthropist already given their resources, and then you're giving your time and your talent, and then even your time and talent that you're contributing is making so much impact on people. That was actually what moved me into community service. Then coming into Connak Foundation, I'll share a story. In 2000 and I think 2010, Connak Foundation. No, actually 2018, precisely Connak Foundation. There was a community ball that was installed in Umuahia, in the town called Afugiri, right? It was done at Afugiri Girls Secondary School, 2018-2019. When that installation was done at the school, during the commission, and you had secondary school students, they rolled out the red carpet, drum beats, teachers were praying. Some persons even said it was an almost impossible feat to achieve. And that got me curious, like, why is something as simple as ball installation eliciting this kind of
When you say
response?
ball installation,
Water ball.
Borehole.
Yes,
Okay,
installation,
borehole.
right?
Okay.
Eliciting this kind of response from people. So I did a bit of background research, and I realized that has been a major challenge for that community. Water, potable water. So a foundation like Connak Foundation coming in and giving them the most basic of amenity, but actually fulfilling like a huge gap for them, like filling a huge gap for them, had elicited this much response and appreciation. It was huge for me. It touched a lot of life, and then it's going to go beyond just the immediate recipient to generations to come, students that would go into the school, the community at large. So it's something that I think it further I connected to it, and I knew that I was in the right place, and it was an opportunity for me to serve. I might not be the philanthropist, right? But I connected with the mission and the vision of the foundation. And since then, it's been no going back.
All right, Uche, I mean, obviously, when you look at her, you know that we are genetically connected.
Yes.
And I know the foundation had in terms of community work and service, but I'll still go ahead and ask her. So you hear from her words of how you came to be partner in, how you came to be director of partner in Connak, your journey in Connak, because you've been there from a long time doing a lot of things. But just like Rosemary said, what made you connect to that vision, and how has it been serving that vision till now?
Yeah, like you said, you already know the background in terms of the family background. So we've always been into community service in the family. So I grew up into it. So it's part of our lives, like helping, reaching out, touching lives. And then I connected to Connak Foundation because of the founder, the visionary of Connak Foundation. So we had so much in common when it came to that. And it wasn't hard for me to key in and try to, improve things. And that's how I connected. And I like Rosemary was saying and gave an experience of the borehole. And we, of course, after that, we've done many others because that made us now do others. The major one for me was the outreach, because we've been doing also, our family has been doing the outreach, and then we keyed into it in Connak Foundation, and the outreach was unbelievable. I'm talking about 2019 outreach. The medical outreach was huge when we partnered with Feed Care International, and they came in to Umuahia, Afugiri actually, and the impact was unbelievable. Like, we reached out to a very large audience, and you need to see people, like she said, holding on to your feet. They hold on to your feet for help, and we did a lot of the surgeries, we changed lives. Like, it was an instant, and that's our slogan, we create opportunities and we change lives, and we did just that at our outreach. And it was, like she said, moving train for me, because this is what I love to do. And we are keying into the vision of Connak Foundation, because he is ready to, if he can help the whole world, he will help the whole world.
So much work to do.
So much work to do. And so that's why this partnership thing is kind of key for us, because we want to extend our hands across the country.
And I think that's important. We'll talk about that, how the power of collaboration multiplies the effect of our work.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to come to you, Nnenna. You know, and I know why you excite me, because there's nothing more I love seeing young people say, I want to do something. Because a lot of times people say, oh, Gen Z, and they make it so negative. I want to be a Gen Z. I love Gen Z. And I love the fact that there are many of you, and you're going to be an example of people that are changing lives. And I remember when I saw your work, which I'm sure they'll talk about in the Kofi. When I saw your work, I was moved. You know, I stopped by to listen, and I saw the gentleman who was signing. So talk more about your organization and how that came to be at such a young age.
Okay, I would want to share a short story of how I started my career in tech. My career in tech started with a personal passion for innovation and making a meaningful impact, right? So, and it started in the year 2018 at one of the tech hubs in the East in Aba, actually, yes. So, during the period of learning, I already knew sign language before then, okay? So, basically, my organization, what we do is bridge the digital divide between the hearing and the deaf, right? Now, I knew sign language. Now, I started learning the tech skill. I will always make a post on social media because I'm always intentional about that. So I have community of friends who are deaf too, right? So they will always comment on my post or send a DM that they are interested part of what I'm learning, if only they could be given such an opportunity. But then there were no opportunities actually available for them. So that was what sparked my idea. Okay, what if I can bridge the digital divide between these two people, the hearing and the deaf? So that was how the idea started, right? But then I had an initial self-doubt if actually I can do this. So, but I decided to conduct a poll. So I made a poll among my deaf friends and also others as well. So now one of the response I got from the poll was from a close deaf friend. She told me that what I want to do is not possible. I was like, wow, really? It's not possible? Like, I am someone that don't believe in that word. Impossible.
Yes.
Impossible. So if you tell me something is impossible, I always want to prove you wrong.
Yes.
So that was how it started. So I wanted to prove that it was actually possible. So I now started pitching my idea to my community of friends who are also tech enthusiasts. And yeah, some people got interested, and that was how Tech for All Global was created.
Say the original name that we say.
Yeah. About global technologies.
Abba's ready to
Abba to the world.
and that was your thing, Abba to the world. And now you are Tech for All Global.
Yeah,
and you're doing amazing work, because you're actually telling people that even if you don't hear, doesn't mean you can't learn. And I think that touches my heart. You know, when people are living with a physical disability, to be able to know that there's nothing you cannot do as well, and for you to commit to do that, I think that's awesome. You know, I think for me, like I always talk about foundation. I grew up just working in the community from a very small age, because I had a father, and my mother too, but my father was basically in public health. And I think, you know, for us, it was more as we're told that what we have is to bless others and to impact other people's lives. And I think even when I came back to Nigeria, I came back to Nigeria actually for community, because I had a very unique drive and passion for saving mothers from dying from postpartum hemorrhage and other things. So my focus was in curbing women from dying. And I think growing into now what we have as the foundation, which is the memory of my parents who died early, I would say, my mom died passing of breast cancer. I think we focus on now, you know what? Everybody has a right to healthcare. And I know Chika will talk also about that as well. Everybody has a right to healthcare. And I think that's one of the things that I think has really changed my life, and I think everybody else's life, because there's something about that when you know that, you know, you have people living and they cannot have basic healthcare. So our focus a lot in advocacy that we do, and even the medical outreach and surgical that we do in collaboration, because we do a lot of work collaboration with Connak too, and Faith Care when it comes to the outreach. We found out that we just not enough people. There's so much out there, so much work out there that we just need more people to just come out and serve and be inspired. And it doesn't need to even be a community out there. It can be your neighbor. This is a time where love is of essence, the heart. Once you have the heart, everything else will come to play. You will find the niche. Your technology, your vaccine and health, I'm health, your empowerment, community education. So you will find where you need to touch with the skills and gifts that God has given you. Because we all have gifts. And I think that's really, really important.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask something too now, Chika. Can you share a pivotal moment or experience that led you to focus on serving communities? You talked about your mom, but I mean, in terms of your work in the community, can you share an experience that made you go further? You started as your living room, and now you're in other countries.
Yes.
So, what is that experience? Give me one. I know there are many. Give me
There
that
are many.
one experience.
Oh, so there's one. There's one. So let me tell you a story. There's a community, still my community when we started. It's called Damangaza. It's an IDP settlement. It's not a camp. So it's just an illegal settlement where people are. So we went there first to just find out, are people vaccinated? And then we discovered that 90% of the people there were not vaccinated. And every week, at least 10 children died. And I'm wondering what's going on. Is it normal? What kind of thing is this? And then is Angwa is a Hausa community. And they didn't believe that there was anything anybody could do about it. They felt that it was normal. It was normal. God had, And then I said, you know what? Let's take this a notch higher. Tell you how to be clean. A borehole where you are. Go to the primary health care center. They had a primary health care center, but they didn't have electricity. They didn't have anything. So it was not usable. So the first thing we did was to put electricity. We put electricity to that health center. And the government was very, very, interested as well. So immediately we did that. That was the turning point. Deaths moved from 10 to 5 to 2. And there was 1 year, only like 5 people died in a whole year. And then, but the people still didn't understand, What they now did was they trusted me. And because everything we do in the community is based on trust.
Yes.
They trusted me.
That's very
And they just felt
important.
that there was something I was bringing to the table. An aura I was bringing to the table that was saving life. I didn't bring any aura. The only thing we did, we just changed habits. And that was it. So that was the turning point. And I told myself, continue. If you save one life, it's enough. Yes. It's enough. And then I will reach out to DrChito as well and stress the life out of her. And there's so many things that we have done after that. Even in one of our facilities, even as we speak now, ANC, that is antenatal, was like 20 people that were coming because the primary healthcare center wasn't working well, But today we got a woman, Bioback, and I'm sure you know.
Yes.
So she adopted that facility, repaired the toilet. She didn't do anything that was so out of, repaired only the toilets and allowed the fans to work and then tried to fence the place. The difference is more than 150 women every week come there for antenatal. What that translates to, let me just put it in perspective, is the possibility of surviving childbirth is 150 women per week. Is that not enough? We're a women-led organization, women-led, women-focused. We believe that women are the missing link. That link cannot be missing.
Powerful missing link.
Powerful missing link. So it's critical that we throw our hearts in the ring and do what we need to do and change the narrative. And that's what we're doing.
And what you've done with that is you have given them the access to the healthcare that they didn't even have because the primary healthcare was there, but it wasn't functional.
Yes.
And because of that, the death toll was increasing, right?
Yes.
But now you've given them access to healthcare services. So I think one thing that I've come to realize in this line of work is this. It's the access that people actually need.
Yes.
And that is where non-profits, NGOs actually come into play because the government do not see the smaller pictures of what needs to be done at the grassroots level to give access. Take for instance, and I'm sharing with you just what you said. Take for instance, I think we had something like that done in Umuahia, the primary healthcare center.
Yes.
And if you remember in 2019 when we had the medical outreach,
We went there.
we renovated the primary
Renovated
healthcare
it.
center.
Yeah.
And then the woman and the husband, a couple, a very young couple, came in for the outreach. And unfortunately, she was due.
She was due.
She had not even gone for,
They checkups.
she didn't even
Antenatal.
know like she was that close. She gave birth during the medical outreach, and she was the first person that gave birth at the primary health center where we had renovated.
Yeah.
So, this primary health renovation, taking up tasks like this, gives the
Very
women
important.
access. Now, when you give these women access, before you know that, they become empowered, and then
Yes.
they are actually strong pillars of the society.
The neck, I call them,
Yes.
of the
neck.
society. They're
Yes.
the neck of the society. I wanted to
Yes.
say something because when this conversation, I was not drawn into this now, but you guys have answered some questions already ahead. But when it came into play, I wanted to talk about the fact that I'm so excited because I remember many years ago, I told Chika the story. Many years ago, let's say when I was the chairman of GMD FCT, that's the Guild of Medical Directors, as the private health sector, because people have a notion of who we are, or we just want to make money, And I remember then when we're talking about several things, I know my passion has always been access, like I said, to healthcare. And I remember going to the what's it called, Mr. Dr. Ewards, the primary, he was secretary of the primary health care. Something just came. I know when the idea comes into your spirit and you're telling yourself, should you not procrastinate? I'm like, let me just talk to him about this idea. I said, have you ever thought that one of the best ways we can work together, government and private health sector, is adopting or being part of delivering care at the primary health centers? And I remember saying I would have a community that we've adopted in Kunyami. I will take on as a guinea pig, because really a guinea pig. I was scared, but I was like, as a guinea pig, I will kind of take on the one in Gosa Primary Healthcare and come into an agreement and see how the foundation, the Francis Foundation, main foundation with Tabitha could deliver free healthcare to women. And I will tell you, because Chika has been my ear for challenges, but I will tell you that that's when you really see what the gaps are. And the funny thing about it, when we started doing our going there to give care, we found that women were not even coming.
Yes.
And there are other things that are into play that I'm not going to discuss about here, but there's so many things into play that I keep thinking, okay, now we've come here to deliver care, so we're here for access, right? But there's still something missing, because the women are not assessing what we have come to offer. And I think that's where she does a lot of community advocacy, going in there and talking to the women and saying, come out, I'm here. Like she said, trust.
Yes.
It's just not taking a place, being there and trust. And I mean, I have hundreds of stories of that I won't get here, so we'll not move a little bit, of course.
Can I share something?
It is something that we're still working on. We're still doing. And I think after that, a year after that, the FCT started adopt a primary health center.
Exactly.
So I'm not a trendsetter.
You. But let me ask this, right?
Yes.
When you talk about trust, right? Is it not because some of these communities have been unjustly exploited?
Yes.
Take, for instance, people coming into the community, they tell them they're going to do one or two things for them. They take pictures and then they go, right? They've been exploited so much that when somebody who genuinely cares and wants to do something, like you went into adopted a community, a primary center, right? And then you're giving them the access, but they're not coming because they've been exploited maybe on many occasions.
It's
like
true.
It's just a photo ops, you're coming there for photo ops. Maybe you want to secure a grant or something and then you go. So it takes a lot. And then the advocacy, which is where Uche's role actually is the advocacy to try and build trust in the community. Because from my own end,
look at the scholarship.
Yes,
they couldn't believe. They thought we're just going to come that one year.
From my own end as programs, we might do the need assessment and all that, and then we design a program from implementation. But we rely on partnership and advocacy to help us actually gain inroads. I'll share a story, and unfortunately, it also has to do with, unfortunately anyway, it has to do with infrastructure. There's a community in Lagos. When we had the activity in Lagos, it's called the Maba community in Igondo, right? We said we're going to install borehole for them, right? They normally buy water. They buy water in jerrycans and all that. When we got there to install, we met with the head of the community. We told him and all that. He just told us, go ahead, and all. He never believed until the day we commissioned. And you know what? He said they had countless people coming in and promised them, but they never come back to fulfill it. So even when we came, he just assumed we were one of those people. We came, probably would take pictures and all that. So I think we've had a lot of people who have exploited these grassroots communities. They've really exploited them. So it makes it difficult when you're actually genuine and you really want to do something for them. They don't believe it. So you get to work double to build it. So I agree. Trust is very, very key. And we have to work on it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Uche, okay.
And I just wanted to add something that when you adopt a community or you're in a community, you
Yes.
don't leave the community.
No, you don't leave it.
You don't leave it no
You
matter
don't leave it no
what.
matter
You don't
what.
leave.
No
You don't
matter
leave
what.
it no matter what.
Because
Yeah.
Trust is not an instant thing.
It's a gradual
It's
process.
a gradual process. It's like a marriage.
It's a gradual process. Yeah.
It's like a marriage.
Sometimes nicer than a marriage, but yeah.
Actually, it's true. I remember in my own case, the first tech training I did in School for the Deaf here in Abuja, I had to go through many rigorous processes, going from SEP to UVE, getting letters and the rest, just because they want to be sure that I'm not just coming there to exploit the students, right? Because they've had occasions where so many NGOs will come, just use them, get grants, just take photos and use them, and that's all, right? But then, after the whole SEP and UVE running around and the rigorous process, and they've been seeing my face consistently after the first training.
Yeah.
I've been coming there frequently, consistently. This time around, I no longer need anything. I'll just make a call. Okay, I'm coming to your school today. I'm doing this so and so training.
And they're good.
And they're good.
So the lesson here is when you seek to help the community, be genuine about it.
Yes.
Let your heart be in it.
Yes.
And don't expect. See, people go in thinking, don't expect rewards. Yes, a lot of times people have to fund projects and get funding, but it's not about that, because I think that there's a greater reward. Just go in to do and be doing. Uche, I want to ask you a question now. How has serving others through your organization changed you personally?
Well, like I said, the background was there,
Yeah.
but it has changed me in the sense that I want to do more every day. Like you're not,
You start seeing other things.
I'm seeing so many other things. Like I went.
Start seeing needs.
Oh my God! With Connak Foundation, and the founder, who I must say is one of the kindest men. I thought I was kind, but until I met him. He wants to help everybody. Like if he can take everybody in, and so I noticed that there's a whole lot more to do, and it has just made me want to, like, when we finish any program, I'm like, when are we doing the next? Because it's never enough. So I want to do more every day. I want to reach out whichever way I can. The impact is unbelievable. I keep telling people, start it and your life will never remain the same.
Yes.
It will never. Like, it's just a blessing that, and like you said, it's not rewards, because we do it most times not expecting anything.
back.
But the beauty of it all is what you see. That's my food. Like when I see people blessed, touched, and lives being changed, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that. Money can't do it. And so that's my thing that I like to encourage people. Come in, try it. Come in, and you will never change. You will never go back.
And it doesn't have to be just what you founded or you planted.
No.
You can serve other great visions.
Say
that
yes,
are
just be part of it.
Yes.
Just be part. Just come in and be part of our movement, and you will see that it will never be the same for you.
As a question I'm going to ask everybody here, and let me tell you why that question is important, because anybody in community work will know there's always a struggle, that there are times that it gets really tough. It gets really, really tough. I remember there are times that sometimes you feel overwhelmed and almost like you're not making impact, or am I doing what I'm meant to be doing here? And I remember just a recent story about one of the communities that we work at, a community where they have people living with disability. And a little girl that came to one of the outreach that we all did together, and she came in and she looked like she was near, I looked at that child, I'm going to call her Amina for confidentiality, and she looked like she was near, like she died, really, and had a lot of medical conditions. We found out that later she was sickle cell, who never knew she was sickle cell. Lack of access to care. When she's in pain, she just hits the wall, hits people around. But they don't know that the pain that comes with a sickle cell crisis is unbearable. But nobody knew that's what she had. She was about 8, looking like she was 4. And I remember that it took us hundreds of thousands of naira to save her life. But it was that determination, like, you're not going to die. You're going to live. And it came at a point in my life, even I do outreaches, where I was second guessing or telling myself I'm exhausted. Like I tell you, you're in the community, you're dealing with government issues, you're dealing with local issues, you're dealing with, and I was like, I'm burning out, I'm exhausted. But when I went through that journey with Amina and went through her journey and fighting for her life, her father even told me, stop spending. No, the way they looked at the finance, stop spending. If she's going to die, it's God's will. I said, your daughter ain't going to die. You understand? We're going to get to the end of this. That journey through her life, trying to save her life, and she even had a stroke and couldn't move one side at 8, sickle cell, yes. And we got her, I was calling all, it was a crazy time for her. And that now she's walking, she's doing her stuff, and they have an understanding of her condition. Still no access. So we're still trying to fight that those people that have such situations should have insurance. The insurance should come to them. Insurance is very important for assets. So, but what I'm trying to say today, that journey through that reminded me why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
Like you said something that you even tell me all the time, that is one life. Not one life, not like one life is one. No, what do you say that?
Yes, it's one life too many.
Well, yes, that's what she always says. And like you said something that you even tell me all the time, that is one life. Not one life, not like one life is one. No, what do you say that?
Yes, it's one life too many.
Well, yes, that's what she always says.
So
I'm going to ask that to each of you here now. The question: what motivates you? And I'm going to start with you, Nnenna. You know what excites me? Nnenna, she's young but ready to go. And I know I keep talking about being young, but it's important that people know that you started this off school, right?
Yeah.
All right. What motivates you to continue doing what you're doing even when it gets tough?
I'm really passionate about what I'm doing. I love empowering people, especially on the South, people that are on the South community. Okay, I'll share a story that, just a short story, I won't take much of our time, of what happened recently. There was a competition, it's a tech competition hosted by an international organization, right? So I added some of my dev team in that competition. At first I was like, can these girls really, this is actually the first time they are having a dev team in that competition. So that competition will afford them, if they actually make it to the finals, they'll have the opportunity to travel outside of Nigeria to compete with other global winners too, right? So I said, okay, let's give it a try. We started something, so let's give it a try. So I had 2 dev teams join the competition, and to my surprise, one of the team made it to the semi-finals. Though they actually didn't get to the finals, but getting to the semi-finals was really an encouragement for me, because it proves that I'm actually in the right path. If I continue doing what I'm doing, they will go global.
Tech for all global.
Yeah.
So I hope you picked up what she said, because she's talking about working with people that cannot hear, and having them do the things that they never thought they could do. They didn't think they could even learn it, and now they're competing in it. And I think that's an amazing story. Now, Chika, with all your experiences, all these years of investment, you cannot tell me the moments you were like, oh Lord, help me.
Yes,
In those, okay, every day.
Every day.
Okay.
About a month ago, one of my communities, children were dying. 5 children. So they called me and said children were dying. So by the time government came, I don't know what the government, told them. They became afraid, because an illegal community. So they're always afraid that they're going to be removed from that community. So when government came, they would lie. When the government is not there, they will say, So, and that put me at loggerheads with government many times. Government will say, think I am the one lying. But what happened? And then my team said, we're not going there again. We're not going to Damangasa again. It's enough. You're addicted to Damangasa. I said, yes, I'm addicted to Damangasa. That for somebody to say that he is well when he's not well, because he's afraid of being thrown out, should tell you the extent of the vulnerability of that person.
Oh, yes.
So in every community, what drives me is that every day we see little innovations, to push the needle a little bit further. In one of our communities, I can tell you, Fulani herdsmen, the 3 children all came first in class because of us. I mean, so when you look at these little innovations, and as you keep pushing the needle, you start to see these things, and sometimes you cry out of joy, sometimes you cry out of frustration. But you keep at it. You fight with the government. So, and I just wanted to add something here. Whatever it is that you do, please allow the government to be a part of it. Because what it does for you is that sometimes the communities will take from government and then take from you. There's some things that it is the job of the government to do, not your job. Your advocacy at that point would be to tell the government to go and do it, not for you to do it. Because if you do it, they will still take, that money will still leave. So it's very good for you to add the government to it, so that when it's time to expand, enlarge, your organizations will be picked. Because those genuine organizations are so few. It's good to be there, so that when it's time, yours should be picked. And just think about it this way. At least if yours is picked, you are doing the right thing. Because if yours is not picked, then maybe the wrong one will be picked. So it's better let's have all these things in perspective. It also helps.
I mean, it comes with challenges.
Yes.
To
Oh, yes.
engage
Oh,
with government.
yes. Yes.
But that means it's necessary, right?
It's
Because they
necessary.
own the primary health
Yes,
and they
yes,
own the.
yes.
So to advocate is not only advocate to the community, you also have to advocate to the leadership.
Yes. Yes.
And get them involved and advocate passionately. And I will
Yes.
put this boldly with courage.
Courage and resilience.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that sometimes they call me what they call it, Iron Lady. I'm not even an Iron Lady, but when it comes to fighting for the people that I serve, I become Iron Lady.
Yes.
So that question now goes to you, Rosemary, because I know there are times that you may be pulled your head like, okay, what's going on?
You said something about when you have to drive another person's vision,
Yes.
right? It's probably easier for the visioneer to like, this is my vision, I want to keep driving it. But sometimes it can be overwhelming for you when you're driving someone else's vision. But the only thing that keeps you going is if you are keyed into that vision. In my line of work, when it comes to program implementation, there are sometimes you just want to pack your bags and go. And I didn't think I shared one of my experience when we went to Kano during the Connak Foundation Entrepreneurship Initiative. I think after like 24, 48 hours in Kano, I was almost going to come back because I was tired. But one thing that keeps me going is that the expected outcome of the program implementation. From the get-go, we know what we want to achieve. And it gives me joy and it motivates me when at the end, people have success stories to share because of work I was part of or because of a program I was part of the implementation. That alone keeps me going. Yes, there are many times, especially during program implementation, you meet a lot of stumbling blocks. We don't have enough policies that even support the work we do. So you have to advocate for policy changes. You have to advocate for quite a lot of things, and it is challenging for you. And especially when you're not the visioneer, you just have to dig deep within you to find the strength to continue. So every day in my line of work is every day I have to dig deep to continue. But I am motivated to go ahead because of the impacts, because of the success stories.
I don't know what to say. Talk about
Tech Global. Yes, Tech Global is actually one of our success
Tech
stories.
for All Global.
Tech for All Global, right, is one of our success stories. We met her during the line of work. She's one of our beneficiaries of the foundation. And seeing her sit here, tell us her stories, gives me joy. I want to go out there like almost immediately to look for another Tech for Global, right? Because these are the things that drives that motivation.
Yes.
Connak Foundation, our vision is a world where communities are empowered, where women and children and youth have access to opportunities that better their lives. Yes. That is what we envision at Connak Foundation. And for everybody in Connak Foundation, we are subscribed to that vision. There's something I took away from what you said, right? I don't see challenges as just challenges to pull me down. I see it as an opportunity to better my skills and to redevelop myself or to evolve myself into tackling that issue. So it's not challenges. And that is what we're experiencing in our line of work every day. So I am motivated by the success stories of all our beneficiaries and the smiles we get to put on people's faces.
So Uche, after that question, what keeps you going?
Well, everybody seems like I'm going to repeat everybody's words at this point. I'm going to repeat everybody's words.
Being the last person.
Yes, being the last. But like you said, the same thing. What keeps you going is success stories. Like she was saying in programs, I'm also remembering the health aspects, the outreach. The outreach is outreach. They can drive. Yes. But at the end of the day, when you've seen the impact of the lives of people that you have touched, it just keeps you going, even further. And there's something you were talking about with the government. We try as well to make sure that we, align with the government. Especially I remember the outreach in Abia. And trying to get with the FMC hospital where we wanted to align with them. I remember after the outreach, that story is unforgettable. You remember after the outreach, we did a medical outreach, we're done. We touched thousands of lives. And we also had, so surgeries, amazing, success stories and all that. And then he wasn't satisfied. The visionary was not satisfied. He said, we need to do something else while we were at the outreach. And we're like, what is it? And he's like, we need to go back to the FMC that we went to visit because we gave them a courtesy visit when we came. We need to go back there and see what's going on with the people that are there that need help too. And we were just going, at that time, we're like, oh my God, we're overwhelmed already. He said, we need to go there. Let's see what we can do there. And that's how we got ourselves from finishing an outreach to going into FMC and realizing that there are a lot of people that had been treated but could not go home. They were not going to discharge them until they could not pay. This is government. They could not pay even as little as how much. They kept them in the hospitals on the floor. Corridors. They were lined up everywhere. And we were just like, really? That I didn't even know. I didn't know that it actually happened. With sad stories, they were there. We went in there and had to go in. And he said, everybody that's on this corridor, can we get their bills? Can we see what we can do? At least they've been treated. So let them go home. And that's why we entered into another project right there. And went and got a list of everybody working with the government.
7 million naira.
Yeah, it was over 7 million now because we worked with the government and they were happy to give us their list of everybody. Very glad to give us the list of everybody that was in there. And that's how we went in there and we went with our partners, international partners. And it was, you see them all red, crying because we went and everybody was sent home. Not only were they sent home, they were sent home with an envelope. Because he said, can you imagine how long you've been here? When you go out there, what are you going to use to start? So we sent home everybody with an envelope. The reaction from them is unforgettable. We cried like we had, we thought we had started. And so,
You're trying to
yes, it was something else.
That's
so
one of those moments.
So this is motivation.
We're well spent.
This is an example of motivation constantly. It ain't going nowhere. Because with this, that's it. That's okay.
And then with the present situation in the country.
That's why I'm doing this episode. I'm doing this episode because every time we go somewhere, there's need, and not just in the community, even sometimes just around us. I sit down. Yesterday, a staff of mine was telling me his story, and I was so moved. And you just keep wondering how. And I always try to do that, and I'm going to leave it to my next question. That sometimes we go into communities, but we should not forget the people that are close to us too. That the pain you see in the community can be the pain of your person working just next to you.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask a question, and I hope all of you answer this question as we roll this, is how can ordinary people make a meaningful difference even if they're not running a nonprofit? Because, you see, we're talking from a place where we all have organizations. You have Tech for All Global. You have Vaccine Network. You are working for Connak. I have Francis and Felicia Main Foundation for Access to Healthcare. But where you're just you, how can you make a meaningful difference? I mean, I have an answer ready in my head, but I want to hear you guys. A meaningful difference, even if you're not running any organization, you're just you.
Simplify things. People like to, traumatize things. That's what I call it.
That's a good one.
Simplify things. And that is, you can support a non-profit that you believe in. Let me give you a story. Like some of my childhood friends, one wanted to do her 50th birthday. I said, I'm not going to do anything. Chika, I know that you focus on women and children. I want to focus on girl-child education. A lot of people who want to give me presents, I'm going to give them your foundation. They will send all the money to your foundation, and I want you to use it to pay for school fees for women and children. That's it. So sometimes people don't know that they can do these things. Everything seems so far-fetched and so difficult to do. If they know, they can support any non-profit. If you cannot support with your funds, you can support with your time. And then you can support the people that are near you. Your house help is a poor and vulnerable person. People always feel as if the house inside the house is not poor and vulnerable. Your gate man is poor and vulnerable. So these are all the poor. Even I'm a Christian. So the Bible says that the poor will always be with you. So even helping that woman selling akara, please, when you're buying banana, don't price. Please just pay for it and move. Because whatever it is that you're going to give that woman is not going to go far. So these are the things. There's so many ways. Just supporting somebody near you, supporting a foundation, or celebrating different things instead of having a party. Use that fund to support people around you. There's so many ways. And everywhere you go, there's these little miracles, little innovations that you can do. In my village, we have women, the Umu Adas that we work with now, who are our accountability arm. They go to the primary healthcare center to make sure the center is working. Do you know how we were able to get them to do that? Somebody gave them money. We now took 500 naira from their money and bought a weighing scale and a BP machine. So it's their BP machine. So the Igbo woman will go and monitor her BP machine. So, and that is working so well. Then last week, the BP machine stopped working. See fights. BP machine that I took 500 naira. So we had to beg them that is the battery, that we will send the battery from Abuja. So there are many ways, little miracles, little innovations here and there that people can do. If you cannot support with your funds, you can support with your time.
Awesome. Okay, Nnenna, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually liked what she said, because I think that's actually the truth. Hence, you're solving a problem. Because all those support giving to those organizations with your funds and your time and volunteering to assist. Those organizations are actually solving problems. They saw a problem and they are solving it. And you being an individual, you know that maybe at some point you cannot do it at the moment. Then support the people that are doing it. Help them solve that problem. I think that is it.
I think all of us
Rosemary.
Yes.
Well, you
We
know,
don't say the same thing. They're different.
No, we'll keep
we'll
to
say
say,
the same thing.
you
Yes.
can't do it.
So,
Support us that can help you do it.
I'm a member of Rotary International.
Yes.
And in Rotary, it's always said, if you cannot give your time, you can give your talent. If you cannot give your talent, you can give your resources. You don't really need to be a member of any organization for you to be able to. You might probably resources, people around you. You see people around you in this current economy, everybody needs support right now. Everybody needs support. So the little support or whatever resources you can give right now to support even your neighbor. Your neighbor, maybe you see your neighbor, the children suddenly are not going to school. Why? Obviously, they can't afford it, you know. Whatever resources you can give right now, it's you being a non-profit organization on your own, right? A non-governmental organization. So whatever
Supporting
resources, your talent, you can decide, you know what, just like what she's doing, she's sharing her talent with people, right? So you don't need to be a whole organization on your own. Whatever thing you can do in any of these areas, you can actually do. So yes, I agree in that direction, right? In this area, you can help. You don't need to start an organization to be able to do it. And just like you said, even if you cannot do it yourself, you don't have the time, but you have the resources, you can key into an existing organization and share whatever you have with them so that it gets to the people that need it the most. The essence of all this thing we're trying to do is to reach the most vulnerable people and to share what we have with them. So in all we do, moreover, it's not people that are rich that give. It is people that are kind.
Kind.
that give.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. It's
Very
not
good.
people that are rich that give,
Yes.
are people that are
Kind.
kind that
Kind.
give.
I think
There's
I
some
like
people
that.
that could have 1,000 naira and give you 500 and take 500. Doesn't mean they're millionaires or they gave it to you because they're kind.
Yes.
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 That's a very good one. I take that.
Yep.
Next, Uche.
Yeah, so like we said, collaboration is is the best ever because
Working
you don't
with
have
each
to
other.
working with each other to achieve this common goal is very key. So just collaborating with resources and anything else, volunteering, will go a long way. And we'll be able to reach out to many more lives if we do that. Just like you said, even the littlest things. Like for me, one of the easiest things is packing up my stuff, my old stuff, and giving out because clothes people don't have, shoes, that's one of the easiest things to do. Pack up the toys, the old stuff, and give out. But like the main thing, collaboration. That's what we always look out for. With our collaborative efforts, we'll be able to reach out to a lot of people. We'll touch more lives, and that's our our goal. Yeah. So I think that's what it is.
So we're out now rounding up
Yeah.
our conversation. I didn't want to pause anywhere because it was flowing so well. And I love the fact that we've said so many powerful statements, actually.
Yeah.
This has incited conversations, and that shows you that it's something that we should talk about more, we should do more of. I will always say to people when it comes to giving is that it takes really, honestly, nothing to do. It's just heart and, like you said, kindness. And you talked about collaboration. Do you know, I will feel that sometimes it's not even about money in a way. Do you know that in this time, if I decided, for example, to say, you know what, I'm going to start this free support network of women that are doing this or that, and I just bring women income. I have a space, let's sit down and let's share what we want to share. Let's talk. That alone, when mental health is a big thing, that alone will go far in them being able to do what they do. So what I want to say is that you impact one person, you're actually going to end up impacting hundreds of thousands. It takes one person to, it's a multiplying effect. You touch one person who would now touch 10 more, who will touch 10 more. And it keeps going like that. And so I think it's not about having money sometimes. It's about just being kind and understanding and open-minded and not proud, humble. Humility is very key in the work that we do.
Yeah.
Come down to earth and see the people around you. And I think it's something that we've talked about here and it's so important. All right. So now, just to end this, I think it's important that we hear the last word of wisdom because we've talked about a lot of things, but I need like their punchline that's going to leave you being inspired to serve. And you understand that we talked about different ways of serving. You have no excuse but to be kind and look out for others. So, Chika, I want to start with you. You've done this for so many years. You've gone not only around nationally, you've gone global as well. So what is your parting word that could inspire others to see that this is a work that we need to start doing, that is something that they can do as far as they have, like you said, kind heart?
Yes. So I have this punchline that my son at the age of 8, when we took him, for one of his community engagements, and then he looked at me and he said, "Mommy, do you know no community is hard to reach?" And that really touched me for a young boy of 8 at the time to say that. So I'm just telling you, all of us here today, no community is hard to reach. The gate man in your house is part of your community. I started from the dining table. That room was part of my community. I reached out to Chito, and that moved something. So just start. Help someone near you. Pray for someone. Do something. Because no community really is hard to reach.
Oh, wow. And Nnenna, you want to take it from there?
Yeah. Okay, there's something I usually say. Believe in yourself. Just know that whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve it. Tech for All Global was once here, but now it's the dream come true for me. So that idea that you've been having over time, I don't know how to start. You don't need much to start. You can start small. Just make sure that you're solving a problem. There are problems around us, right? So pick a problem, solve a problem, and the sky will be your limit.
An impact will be made.
Yeah.
An impact will be made.
Yeah.
Rosemary.
I'm going to share what we believe in at Connak Foundation. Now, we are particularly keyed in on the slogan of the Sustainable Development Goals that says, leave no one behind. And that's what we try to do at Connak Foundation. We are not leaving anybody behind. So we're out there, the most vulnerable persons, the underserved communities. We're taking everybody along. We're leaving nobody behind. So in your everyday dealing, in everything you do, let it be at the back of your mind that we're carrying everybody along.
For me, what I would say, like you said already about our vision and our mission in Connak Foundation, but for me, the personal thing I want to say to individuals is that word that we learned here, be kind. Kindness does it all. Once you're kind, everything will go. So you will touch lives, but just be kind. Be nice to the next one right beside you. Doesn't take anything. So that's my advice. And I encourage each and every one of you to touch lives. Be a part of a community that reaches out to people. You can join us too. Connak Foundation is open for everyone.
So it's Francis and Felicia.
Yes. So come along and let's do this together.
There's something that was said here. You said there's no community that cannot reach or
That's hard to reach.
There's no age that you can't start in. I think from when we talked about our childhood, we started as kids to start working in communities and start learning how to give back. And I'm talking to parents right now that you should allow your kids in a safe way. Understand security could be a concern, but they can start by in their estate, in their community, to learn how to give in their schools. They can come up with projects. Kids learn and build character from service. Service is something that comes with, and when you do it, you will be rewarded by the Most High. It is a given fact. And I think that for me, if I think of my life journey, where I am as I sit in front of you, if I didn't serve, I won't be here doing what I do. And I think you should all take that with you as we wrap up this amazing episode of HERcast with DrChito. Words to action. Words to action. What an incredible conversation. We've heard real unscripted stories of service that go beyond words. Stories that show us how women can lead, inspire, and create lasting change. Chika Offor, Rosemary Etsame, Uche Umenyi-Ephraim, and Nnenna Ogbonna have not only shared their journeys, but have given us a glimpse into the heart of service. As we wrap up this episode, I hope their stories have moved you to take action in your own community. Remember, every act of service, no matter how small, can spark a ripple effect of change, like I said before. So, from words to action, let's continue to uplift and empower those around us. Thank you for tuning in to HERcast with Dr. Chito. This show is dedicated to giving women a voice, empowering them with knowledge, and building a supportive network. We are a community, by the way, that inspires boldness in pursuing their dreams. HERcast is a movement rooted in the belief that gender equity will transform the world. Watch our full episodes on YouTube, HERcast with Dr. Chito. Listen on our favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram, HERcast Podcasts, and at Dr. Chito N. Watch on Rapid TV, channel 176, 176 Star Times, every Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 2 p.m. By the way, if you have any questions for any of our guests here, look at the bottom right now and you will see all their Instagram handles being featured at the bottom. Thank you for joining us today on HERcast with Dr. Chito. Until next time, stay inspired and keep serving.